Oh, and we are back. Good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, at whatever time you are watching this, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between. Faux Brummie, raising the glass to you. Let's have some of this. Good God, I only just poured this and I'm halfway through. This is going down far too smoothly lately. But I'm back. Once again, it's the Renegade Master. It's been a whole week since I had anything to complain about. I've been developing what I'm going to moan about this week, because it's not very hard for me as an Englishman to complain about anything, and I see a fair bit I like to complain about. Firstly, before I get stuck into what I'm going to complain about, thank you to everyone who liked last week's video, who watched last week's video, who may have shared last week's video. Got a lot of views, at least a lot of views on anything that I've ever done in the past, so apparently me talking about music and movies isn't really anything that people are too interested in seeing, and I understand that. There's a couple of 100,000 people out there doing it better than me, who have been doing it better than me for a very long time, but apparently the one thing I am good at is complaining nonsensically, and apparently people like it when I complain nonsensically, so thank you. Thank you for that, reaffirming that sad little point about life, or at least my life. I'm a good whinger. But it's been a whole week. There's a few things I've spotted through the week that have drawn me to irritation, or at least woke me up in the middle of the night. Just random, strange, nonsensical thoughts, as is the way. It's so good. It's so good. But again, thank you all to everyone who watched last week. Moving swiftly on to things that I can complain about. Last week I had a little bit of a bitch fit online about areas in Leicester that don't make sense. We had Kibworth Beauchamp. It's not Beecham. It's spelt Beauchamp. I'm saying it Beauchamp. Another irritation came up this week. It was Grubby and Groby as well. Groovy. It's spelt Grobby. Someone said, like, Blaby. Blaby, like, why don't you complain about Blaby? Blaby spelled B-L-A-B-Y, so I can see why it's pronounced Blaby. To a degree, if I was going to be dickish, I'd call it Blabby. Some people call it Blabby, just for fun. But, you know, I can see Blaby in Blaby. I don't see Grooby in Grobby. And I don't see Beecham in Beauchamp. But I've had a few others this week. I mean, none of these are as nearly as bad as last week. One of them is. One of them's rubbing me the wrong way, and I refuse to bend the knee. Actually, two of these. Two of these just really fucking butter my biscuits in the wrong way completely. So on to areas of Leicester that don't make sense. And there was one, I scribbled down a note last week that simply said Belvoir, and I couldn't remember how these weirdos in Leicester, these Leicesterfarians, if you will, how they pronounce it. It was like Belvoir. It says Belvoir. I can see it says Belvoir. I am familiar with things that are called Belvoir. There is a biscuit brand, I believe, called Belvoir. There is a range of beverages, believe they're alcoholic, called Belvoir. The Belvoir Hotel, I believe, is quite a world-famous hotel. But there is a street in Leicester called Belvoir Street. In fact, there's a castle. There's a castle that's called Belvoir Castle. Apparently, it's not pronounced Belvoir. It's spelled B-E-L-V-O-I-R. Belvoir. No. That's not how they play that game here in Leicester. It's apparently pronounced Beaver. Spelt Belvoir, pronounced Beaver. It's not even like beaver like the animal beaver, B-E-A-V-E-E-R. Did I spell that right? Sounded like I spelt it right. It's B-E-E-V-E-R. That kind of pisses me off even more. But yeah, Belvoir to beaver. I don't know how you get that. And I stand by what I said last week about someone in Leicester's past getting pissy about the names of things. And that person I will circle around to shortly. Also, another thing that they also have in Leicester, this is a thing I heard earlier on today. It's something I've never heard of, and to a degree, like, the younger generation doesn't know this, so I think it's more of an older past thing that's out there. But the ice cream man. Everyone knows an ice cream man. Everyone has seen an ice cream man. I love the ice cream man. I see the ice cream man pull up outside of work. I'm getting me an ice cream. I don't see an ice cream man on the street of an evening anymore. It seems to be like an afternoon thing. But if an ice cream man comes bowling down the trading estate, rest assured, if there's money in my pocket, I am getting me an ice cream. But apparently, here in Leicester, or this might be outside of Leicester as well, the Oaky man. I'll say that again. The Oaky man. O-A-K-E-Y. At least that's how I'm spelling it. It probably has some weird, bizarre spelling that doesn't make any sense being here in Leicester. But the Oaky man means the ice cream man. I don't know how you get that. I don't even know how you begin to come up with the Oaky man. Oak, a form of wood. The ice cream man doesn't sell wood. Is there a brand of ice cream called Oaky ice cream that I am not familiar with? There is a reason and possibility that that is the case. But I don't know how you get that one. The other one, this is what really, really pisses me off. We've had Kibworth Beauchamp, which is pronounced Beecham. We've had Grobby, pronounced Grooby. We've had Belvoir Street, pronounced as Beaver Street. But there's one street that they seem to want to get phonetically correct. And it really does grind my gears. It really does. Because you can't have Belvoir as Beaver, Grobby as Grooby, and Beauchamp as Beecham, and then get RC that this one's not pronounced correctly. So, we have a play. If you're wondering why I keep looking, I got notes. I write my notes down. I'm a pen and paper kind of guy. I scribble it down. I flick through my pages. Voila, my notes. There's 3 pages of notes this week, by the way. So hopefully this thing doesn't drag on too long. Because last week was 2 pages scribbled down with a permanent marker. Took a little bit more time with this. Because my audience, I love you people. But this one, it's taking the piss. It's taking the piss. Right, so, Catherine. Catherine. Like the actress, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Catherine Street, we have that here in Leicester. But it's not pronounced Catherine Street. It's pronounced Catherine Street.
Catherine Street.
Why? Why is it pronounced Catherine Street? When you've got Belvoir as Beaver, why are you sensitive about Catherine and Catherine? It's not Deborah and Deborah. It's Catherine. Catherine Street. Is it in a... I don't know where it actually is in terms of Leicester. It's just a place that I've heard of. And I've never been there. I don't know if it's one of those places that's got big, nice houses. And people that have big, nice houses usually have big, nice amounts of money. And there can be a tendency to be of a certain class where you have to speak in a certain way and be phonetically correct, or at least that's how it used to be back in the day. These days, people, make a career selling drugs and buy big, nice houses and don't really give a damn about these kind of petty little things. But this is something that I feel is left over from a previous generation. But it's Catherine. Catherine. Why does it make a difference if it's Catherine or Catherine? I understand you could probably make a case of why does it matter if it's Grobby or Grooby? Why does it matter if it's Belvoir or Beaver? It's the spelling on those that bugs the living piss out of me. But to turn around and go, no. Catherine Street. And if I'm lucky, if I can figure it out, I'll stick in a link, or at least a voice clip, of the person telling me how I should be pronouncing Catherine Street. Get out of here with your Catherine. I ain't having any of that.
Catherine
I didn't
Street.
have this problem in Birmingham. I didn't. You learned words. You learn letters. You form letters into words, and you read those words as they are spelt. What is wrong with this place? I don't know. And there was another one that came to mind as well. This one's completely unrelated to Leicester. I don't know where this one devolves from. This might have something to do with where I saw it. So there was a series of movies that I believe came out in England in, believe it was the 70s, maybe the 80s. It was part of that whole British, a little raunchy, sexy movie kind of thing. and it was the Confessions of movies. I think there was Confessions of a window cleaner, Confessions of a postman, and I believe there was Confessions of a street sweeper. I don't think street sweeper or milkman or something like that. And they were basically these saucy little British naughty comedies, and it followed this one guy who was just a normal, average British guy of the time, and he'd get a job, and this job that he'd do would always land him in with these like raunchy women of the time, like the stories of the milkman or the window cleaner being dragged in for some saucy fun by the lady homeowner. And there was one that saw this one thing. It's the only thing I can pretty much remember of these films. I watched them when I was probably about 13, 14 years old when they were on TV one night. But a particular meal, how he describes this meal, I can only chalk up to a lack of culture in England at that particular time. But fine Italian meal, spaghetti bolognese. I'm looking at the spelling of bolognese. I can see bolognese. It's an odd spelling, I'll give it that. But bolognese, it's got a G in it. You don't really hear the G silent, but the G silent in many other words usually is a H preceding it. But this particular one, I remember it being pronounced as, in the film, spaghetti bologna. Let that sink in for a minute, bologna. I've never heard that anywhere else, and I've never heard anyone ever say it. It makes me wonder where that came from. Again, I chalk it up to a lack of English culture at that particular point in its history. But that's one that's always sort of blown my mind. I thought I'd tie it in with the weird Leicesterfian spellings that they have here. But I'm going to move away from that one now. I've had my little Leicester rant. Here's another thing that's really fucking winding me up. I cycle to work when it's not freezing cold. This week, most of this week, in fact all of this week, it's been below zero outside that window right there, and it's been grim. Absolutely grim. When it is that cold, I am not riding my bike. There's nothing worse than just, don't matter how many gloves you're wearing, just freezing cold hands. You get to work, you're stuck like this for at least 20 minutes until you can find something to warm yourself up on. And even when you put your hands on the heater, your hands just sting and burn, and it's unpleasant. It really is. It's like when you sit on the toilet too long, like on your phone, and your leg goes numb, and you gotta walk around on your stingy leg for a little while. I motion to my left leg, because it's always the left leg that goes numb. But I usually ride a bike, and when I ride a bike, I ride in the road. If I see a car coming, I get out the way, I hit the pavement. It's a bike, I can take it anywhere, I can move it anywhere. Pedestrians don't complain. If they do, I'm probably going too fast for me to actually hear it. But I've never come across people complaining about the fact there's a bike on the pavement. No one gives a damn. No one really gives a damn. It's not like I'm riding directly into oncoming pedestrians. It's not what you do. But there's a certain crowd within the cyclist community, and I say the community like I'm part of a cycling community. I'm really not. It's a means from getting to A to B. I'm not one of these people that rides a bike for fun or goes and does healthy things. And you know who those people are. You know who they are, because I'm going to mention them now. The Lycra crowd. It's the goddamn Lycra crowd. Like, they have nicer bikes. I've already, I don't know if I had a complaint last week. I'm not very good on a bike. My bike's too small for me. But again, it's just a means of getting from A to B for me. And the amount of times I've been taken over by dear old Deirdre, cycling away on her bike that fits her and has better working gears. My bike doesn't have functional brake pads, and the gears aren't all that good. In fact, most of the time they get stuck and it becomes an absolute lick trying to push that thing up a hill. And does it damage the ego when an old lady goes flying past you? Maybe. But I ain't going to dwell on it. At all. But the local crowd, there's an air of silent arrogance as they come past you. And I believe it's because they've always got the low handlebars, and it's always the arse in the air. It's just bobbing up and down wherever you go. And the one thing that rats me off is when they want to sit in the centre of the lane that you are in, and they're just bobbing along, not getting out the goddamn way. If they look back, you clearly see you're holding up the damn traffic. I don't want to be that guy that's on a bike holding up traffic, hence why I'll veer up a pavement or move the fuck out the way. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't inconvenience me in the slightest. I just feel bad for all those motorists that are stuck behind the Lycra-clad arse bobbing in the air cyclist. And it's usually the guys in the white van that are right up the arse of the cyclist, and you can't avoid it. It's just a bobbing arse from up and down to left to right. Why? What? Why? It's like, oh, the super tight clothes will make you move faster. They probably do. They really probably do. But why does your arse have to be in the air like a cat in heat? Why? What? You're making me look bad. Get out the damn road, for the love of God. You can just see the motorists in the car just losing their collective shit because this arsehole in Lycra won't get out the goddamn way. You're making me look bad. Stop it. Where did I go from? And the usual argument that you will get from is, well, I have the right to be here and control my lane. It's not your lane. You're on a pedal bike. Get out the goddamn road. Really winds me up. It does wind me the fuck up. I don't even drive. I don't drive. I've gone into vans and gone on deliveries, and there's a cyclist. Country lane cyclists. Like, I get you've got forward momentum. You might not want to stop and there might not be a pavement, but for the love of God, get out the goddamn way somehow. Just, it's bad. It's bad. And the next thing, it's to these guys in the Lycra. Riding a bike on the road, you're taking up all the goddamn space. Get out the way, get on the pavement, do whatever. Just move. Just move. Why then do you insist on riding a bike through city centres, through busy town centres? There's people everywhere. Now, walking through a town centre is challenging enough. Like, it winds me up when I'm just walking through a town. Like, you're stuck behind that one person who's dragging their feet or is going really slow, or they're just looking at their phone while trying to move in a forward momentum. It annoys. Get the fuck out my way, for the love of God. But why are the people on the pedal bikes insisting on riding through the actual streets with the people everywhere? Like, it's hard enough to navigate these people while they're on foot, and you want to do it on two wheels. Stop it. Just stop it. It's annoying as hell. And the helmets. The helmets are a good thing. They will protect your melon from any incidences of crashing, of falling, of injury. No one wants their head damaged. I like my head. I don't want it damaged anymore. You might tell, like, the face isn't exactly in proportion. It's not because I didn't wear a helmet. It's because I got the shit punched out of me when I was 15. But cyclists in helmet, particularly of a certain age, it winds me up. There's a few times I've seen, like, some older ladies, and they've got their helmet on and they're trundling away, but they're on the pavement. They don't dare go in the road. Like, I get it, if you're in the road, you might want to wear a helmet for your own precaution, but Doris, if you're staying on the pavement, you don't need a helmet. If you fall off, take the hit. I'm sure you'll be okay. But when I see the Lycra cloud and they've got the Lycra clad people, clad, don't know where I'm going with that one, but these, like, dudes in helmets, it's embarrassing. Take the helmet off. Helmets are for 10-year-olds or younger, and proper bikers, like proper bikers whose bikes can go faster than their leg power can take them. Seriously, like, it's an advertisement that basically says, woohoo, I don't get laid. Like, you're just telling me that you don't get sex. Whenever I see a dude, like, clad in Lycra, wearing a helmet, it says to me, you don't get sex. Like, no one considers bikers sexy by nature. You see a guy, like, hits the gym, goes swimming. Like, even those swimming cats I find dumb as fuck, but you see the person who's got a body that goes swimming, or does some bodybuilding, weightlifting, maybe does a little fight training. There's some sexy blokes. And ladies as well. They're the sexy people. I don't see women wearing the helmets at all. Except, again, Doris that's on the pavement. Good for Doris. She's not in the road, at least, holding up the traffic. But you see a side, no one's ever gone like, ooh, look at the calves on the man in the Lycra. At least no one I've ever encountered. Or look at that arse bobbing up and down. It's not a sexy look. Maybe that's just me being a nasty bastard again. But get out the goddamn road, all of you, and take the helmets off. It's sad and embarrassing. You're not a danger enough threat to yourself. And I honestly think if you fall off a bike, it ain't go. I've fell off a bike many times. I fall off bikes regularly. I am not a strong bike rider. but I've never felt the need. Have I hit my head? Many times. But I think I've done more damage to myself slipping on ice at the front of my house and falling into recycling bins than I ever have falling off my bike. Yeah. We'll move on from that one. Another thing that winds me up. This is one that's annoyed me my entire life, my entire existence. That the worst thing that you could have in any household, in any vicinity where people are trying to sleep, is the ticking clock. I hate ticking clocks. I despise ticking clocks. A watch ain't so bad, but I don't wear a watch. I don't want to wear a watch. I don't see the need. I'm a practical type of person. Why do I need a piece of material on my arm that tells me the time when I have a mobile phone that tells me the time? I understand there's an element of class and style that goes along with it. I don't have that class, nor do I have that style, so it's not an issue for me. But when you go into a house that's got a ticking clock on the wall, or in a bedroom, or in a hallway, I don't understand why people have clocks in hallways, like, at all. Like, it's a short trip from one room to another. Is it prudent that you have to stop in a hallway and go, I wonder what the time is? That's the time. I don't understand it. Can't imagine people that collect clocks. But a ticking clock is the enemy. No matter where I am in the world, if I hear a ticking clock, just that, all the time, non-stop, doesn't stop, keeps going. It's a clock. Time is forever. It just keeps moving and moving and moving. I can't be doing with it. You ever just tried to sleep and you're there, you're resting, you're peaceful at night, then all of a sudden you just hear that. That's it. The descent into madness and anger begins. It burns me. It's been suggested in this household before, we should get a nice clock. No, we should not. There is no need for a clock that ticks at all. You want a digital clock that doesn't tick, fine. But you have a phone, we have a tablet, I'm on a games console, I'm on my television, I'm on my TV box, I'm on the laptop, I'm on a computer, I'm on any piece of machinery that we have to hand in our households. At any time, I can find the time, I can find the date, I can find Ultravox if I choose to. I don't. But the ticking clock, can we do away? I understand there's great construction, and it's essentially it's an art form, and it's a very divine skill to be able to build a clock, to take a clock apart and rebuild a clock, or to build your own clock. It's wonderful and it is magical. It's just that ticking. Do they have to tick? Is there a way to have them without the ticking? There probably is, but I've never come across them, or if I have, I've never noticed them. You know why? Because they're not ticking. But there is nothing worse than trying to sleep and there's just that metronome going constantly, non-stop, keeping me awake. Oh, it breaks me. It doesn't matter how tired I am, how sleepy I am. Drunk doesn't really, you can do anything while you're drunk. I've slept next to jukeboxes drunk. I've slept in the street drunk. But the ticking clock, I can't be doing it. Can't be doing it at all. What are your thoughts on the ticking clock? Share your thoughts on the ticking clock. Have you fallen foul of a ticking clock at any point in your existence? I really hope you haven't. It might be one of the worst things I've ever come across. Another little one that I sort of come across. Like, you ever been shopping and you've been made to feel guilty? You're not guilty. You're just browsing in a shop. We've all done it. We've all gone shopping. What's in this place? I'm just going to have a look around. Maybe look at some shoes. Maybe look at some clothes. Look at some music. Look at some movies. Look at anything. There's a particular store, though, that I find, if you go in there with no type of shopping agenda, it's like you've ever had a couple of quid in your pocket and it's like, I want something. I don't know what I want. Maybe you want some salted nuts. Still haven't got that resolved, by the way. Like, still need to find a shop that will accept my vouchers. But that's not the point. It's not what we're here to talk about. So I got a couple of quid in my pocket. I got some time to kill. I fancy a thing. I'd like a thing. I'm going to pop into this little shop here and have a thing. This can relate to the grotty shop as well. I spoke about the grotty shops quite lengthily last week. And I think grotty shops are actually the worst for this. But you go in, You walk up and down, like, you might have one aisle, might have two aisles, might not have any aisles, might be a small little shop, might be a big shop, but you just have a roam round. So what do I want? I don't know what I want, but I want a something. I want a thing. And you find that as you're walking around with no agenda, just looking at the goods and wares that are on offer, you'll notice the shopkeeper just trying to see what you're doing. Trying to make sure you're not stealing, because they've probably never seen you before. You might just be passing a random shop. I find if it's a shop you're a regular in, they're not so concerned, but if you're a new face in the shop, they're very... They make you feel a little bit guilty. Like, I'm here, I have money, it's in my pocket, you're not going to see it, you don't need to know about it until I've bought the goods and wares that I choose to offer. But there's just that person that's always got their eye on you. It's like, what are you doing? What are you planning to do? Why aren't you buying anything? Why haven't you picked anything up yet? There's things to pick up. Why haven't you picked up a thing? And like, if you walk around the shop with nothing in your hand, it seems to make shop owners very, very nervous. Like, I popped into a spa. I mentioned the spa last week to avoid my grotty shop, and I went into this spa. It's not a very big spa. It's got very narrow little aisles and a couple of blind spots. You can see they're trying to keep an eye on them because there's like mirrors that they try and see these things in. But I went to the spa and I was just walking around and I could see the shopkeeper like tentatively looking at the mirror trying to see what I was doing, and then every time I'd go up a different aisle, a head would just bob out from the side, just keeping an eye on me wherever I went. I didn't know what I wanted. I wanted a something. Did I find that something? No, because the shopkeeper was following me around with his eyes. Not himself, his eyes. Makes it a little more... Yeah. You don't trust me as a consumer, I do not trust you as a retailer. So I'm getting the hell out of there. And another thing that I had a little bit of uncomfortable with, I don't think it's a valid reason to be uncomfortable, but I was sending a few emails out during the course of the week. I've tried to put myself out there as an entertainer, share my video out a little bit, see if I could do some things for some other people. And I found myself putting regards at the end of certain emails. And there's a thing I noticed, sometimes I put with warm regards, and sometimes I would put regards. And I found on all the emails where I put warm regards, I would receive a response back from these people within a short amount of time, even if it was an automated response. But I found whenever I left regards, I'd never get a response back, and I'm come to wonder that it sounds a little bit sinister, just using regards. And I think it's Game of Thrones that's kind of like ruined that one, like the Lannisters send their regards. It's with regards. It just sounds a little like malevolent, like there's an ulterior motive. Like, I hope you consider me as a personal entertainer for your upcoming event, and I would really enjoy being a part of the show that you are putting together. Regards, James Ibbotson. It's just something that makes me feel a little off about the whole situation. It's probably not valid, but think about it. Next time you're writing a letter or an email, I don't know how people write emails. Like, I remember being at school, like, they taught you the format for writing a letter. It's like this address here, that address there. Dear sir or madam, space. And you write out your paragraphs and whatnot. I tend to try and write my emails like I'm writing a letter in that same familiar format. I don't know if that's how you're meant to do it. I never really sent emails professionally, and in the one profession I did where I sent emails professionally, everything was preloaded on there. But also noticed camera wobble. I can't stop the camera wobble. I'm not actually knocking the table in any way. It's just got very thin floors and things wobble. Look at that. Yeah. Hopefully one day I can stop that. Proper table might be nice, or a house that's not falling apart. Speaking of a house that's falling apart, this house has got some retarded features to it. Did I offend someone by using that word? Probably. But weird features that don't make sense, like lighting. I hate spotlights. My old apartment, flat, had spotlights, and they were the worst thing in the world to change, because you can't bring the fixture down from the ceiling. You got to sort of push in and try and twist it with just the ends of your fingers. I've got that here. But the spotlights have like this casing around them, and you have to sort of like pull the casing out the ceiling to get the light bulb out the fixture. But whoever built this house really didn't know what they were doing. So once you've got the fixture out, it ain't going back in the slightest. But we've got more than a few light bulbs flicking out all over the house, and I got to try and replace them, but I can't find a suitable light bulb fixture that fits these fixtures, or a suitable light bulb that fit the fixtures. They look like regular, easy to get light bulbs, but they're not. They're really not, and it's really winding me up, as well as other people in this household. But spotlights, okay, they look nice. They look different. But why would you put lighting in the floor? Like, not just in the floor, in the corner of rooms, in the floor. Like, what kind of effect are you going for? Like, I'd imagine, like, if you're one of these people that does taxidermy and you've got animals, stuff that you're stuffing and mounting in your property, an underlight might make that look pretty cool or terrifying, depending on your size, stature, and nature to those kind of things. But in just a house, just a normal, regular, everyday, crappy house, why put lighting in the floor? Like, in my living room, there's 2 lights in the floor, in the corners of each room. They don't do dick. Like, they genuinely don't do dick. They do nothing. I've got them in my conservatory, lighting in the floor. Like, they don't illuminate the room enough for you to be able to do anything. However, it seems to be that the lights that are in the floor are the only ones that remain working. They never seem to burn out. The ones in the ceiling are dying left, right, and centre. So I'm trying to hang my washing in the conservatory in the winter, and the only lights I got are popping up from the corners of the room, and I can't see dick. I really can't see dick. What I can see is this. What is that? What is that? That is horrible. Can we sort that out? Can I hold my head at a different angle? Good God, I've never seen that before. I try not to look in the mirror too much because it makes me a little bit sad. That is... It's gone now. Oh, no. Whoa. What is that? We're not going to dwell on that. Let's not dwell on that. For my own sanity, let's not dwell on that. I mean, I'm getting to that age now with grey hairs are kicking in. I don't think you can see the hairs. Oh, I don't know. There's a little bit of silver there. It comes in time. It comes to us all in time. I really wish it went like grey there and get like a Reed Richards Fantastic Four thing on the go, or like a Wolverine thing. Mutton chops was something I once rocked. Really effectively, by the way. But the grey's kicking in, and that, good God, I've seen it now, and I can't stop seeing it. That upsets me. That upsets me. We're going to go past that, though. Now, technology. It's something that is in all of our lives. It walks around with us, on our wrist, in our pockets, in our homes, everywhere. But over the coming years, we've allowed cookies into our life and accepted many things on the internet to the point where it feels like our technology, particularly our mobile phones, are listening in on us. I'm convinced this is true, and I believe they could be in my head. They possibly... I mean, one morning I woke up and I thought of a scene from a film I hadn't seen since I was a small child. And why it came to my head, I don't know. It was just a random scene. And it was a Jean-Claude Van Damme film, Hard Target. And I just remembered the scene where he rocks up and beats up a bunch of dudes in the street. And you should watch that film. It's a great film. Van Damme's mullet rocks. Really does. But I don't know why it came into my head. I have no idea why it came into my head. I didn't utter anything out loud about it. It was just something I woke up, thought about this scene for a little bit, when I got showered, and went off to work. And then later on in the day, I'm flicking through YouTube, and that exact scene pops up in my YouTube feed as a recommended video. And that made me a little bit concerned, because all the tech companies in my head now. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. But I have noticed little things here and there. One, for instance, if I argue with my partner, which does happen occasionally, like you're cooped up in a house together, you can't go anywhere, fights are going to happen and arguments are going to happen. But I've started noticing that, like, Amazon, at least, might be getting a bit too, like, comfortable with me. Like, I've spent a lot of money on Amazon recently because I've saved a load of money from not smoking, and I've pretty much spunked it all on crap that I didn't need. One of which I'll get to maybe in a minute if I remember. But I'm walking down the road, like, the other day. Me and my partner have had a huge argument. It's not good. Things weren't nice that were said. And as I'm walking down the road, Amazon pings me. And it's like, suggested for you, luggage. I'm like, that seemed... Maybe I'm overthinking that one, but why would you be advertising luggage to me? I don't buy luggage. I don't even look at luggage. Things that I buy are on the wall behind me, and wearing them. We're rocking the Dio this week, by the way. The Holy Diver. I'd recommend it. But it popped up like, we recommend for you luggage. I'm like, that's pretty invasive. That's pretty invasive. The other one was sleeping bags. Sleeping bags might be overthinking this, but you have a fight with your missus, you end up not sleeping in the bed. So it's recommending sleeping bags for me for when that event does happen. Cheers, Amazon. And the other one, which was definitely taking the piss. I don't know. Like, I think this is Amazon having a laugh with me. But after an argument, it recommended dog houses. I'm already in that. I don't need a physical one to be inside. Not necessary. On to other random, pointless things. Let's take another sip of the beer here. I hope you're all enjoying a beverage on this evening, if you're watching it. Of an evening, anyway. This goes out on a Saturday. I don't know what time we're going to get out. Like, I usually post this thing for about 7 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock where I am right now, and I haven't done any. I didn't edit last week's video. I might edit this week's video, or at least put in that phonetically correct Catherine, just for reasons. I love a beer. I do love a beer. Alright, I've practically finished that beer. We're going to need to pour ourselves another one. But random thoughts that pop into your head that can sometimes keep you awake at night, or just wake you up in the middle of the night. They're nonsensical. They don't make sense. They don't have meaning. I'm trying not to make a mess of pouring this. I don't think I should show the can, because I doubt they'll sponsor me, and I doubt it will be appreciated with all the things that I am ranting about. But as I said, a ticking clock can keep me awake in the middle of the night, as can thoughts. Random, strange, incredible thoughts. They come out of nowhere, but sometimes it will just wake you up out of nowhere. You might have seen there's like a meme that goes round of the person that's in bed and their brain's trying to talk to them, and they tell the brain to shut up, and then it just comes up with something random and bizarre. I had one of them earlier this week. It was quite late of an evening. I was feeling tired. I went to bed, as you do. I got undressed. There's another one. Who wears pyjamas to bed? Like, are there people out there that wear pyjamas to bed? I've never worn pyjamas to bed. Like, when I want to sleep free and naked. Because freedom, it's delightful. It's my favourite thing. But pyjamas, I've known pyjamas since I was a small child. Pyjamas for me are a thing that small children wear, or people on TV have to wear because of ratings and whatnot. But is there anyone out there in the real world that still wears pyjamas? I'm just curious to know on that one. But anyway, I'm in bed, I'm relaxing, I'm drifting off to sleep, and suddenly out of nowhere my brain just says, do you think anyone actually told Tony Christie if this was the way to Amarillo? Like, he spends that whole song asking people, like, is this the way to Amarillo? And did he ever get a response? Did he ever actually, in fact, find Amarillo? And more to the point, was Sweet Marie still waiting? Because you don't know how long Tony Christie was away from Amarillo, or at least the fictional person that Tony Christie was singing about. Like, he was like, he hasn't been to Amarillo. He's been dreaming dreams of Amarillo, and he's been dreaming of Sweet Marie. But was Sweet Marie still waiting for him? I feel there's like a grander story that could have been woven from that. Like, give me a sequel song, Tony Christie, if he's still alive. I think he's still alive. I don't know. I'm not sure. But that was just random. Just came to my head. I was trying to sleep, and it was just like, and that's all I've got on that one. I'm sure people have had random, strange queries that have come to their mind in the middle of the night before. Share them. Tell me about them, because I don't know where that one came from. I'm a heavy metal fan. I don't like that Amarillo song at all. It's one of those songs, it was, I think Peter Kay brought it back. He didn't sing it, he mimed it. I always found the British had this weird tendency to fall in love with novelty music. That was definitely one of those novelty times. But yeah, another thing I'd like to touch on as well. This is not so much a rant, this is just some things that I've observed over my life. Football. Not American football. British football. Football. The game of football. The sweet game. The beautiful game. Or as they call it in America, soccer. No one calls it soccer in America. Except you had that Sky One wannabe match of the day show called Soccer AM. I don't think a lot of people ever used to watch that because it was called Soccer AM. It's football. It's a ball. You move it with your foot. Football makes sense. I'm surprised Leicester doesn't have a weird definition of it or a different spelling of it. It really surprises me. But overly angry football fans, I understand being passionate about something. I am a geeky man by nature. I like geeky things. I like Doctor Who. I like Star Wars. I like sci-fi. I like heavy metal. Like, when things aren't good in heavy metal, I get very, very upset. Because when someone's passionate about something, you're passionate, you have heart, you have love, you have feelings for it. It's not anything that's created by you. It's not anything that you're a part of. You're just merely a spectator in someone else's glory. I find this true with football. This is kind of one of the reasons I don't watch football anymore. When I was younger, we used to go to the football quite regularly. Birmingham City Football Club, that was the local team. And that's the team that I supported, and we went to many games, and every weekend we'd go to the pub, we'd watch the football, we'd come back to the pub, and all day pub. And after a while, it became boring, because as I got older, it was just like, I'm like 15 years old, and I'm surrounded by 40 plus year old men who are just talking about football constantly. I want to go chase girls and boobs and rock and roll. That's cooler. That's a lot cooler. But when people get upset about football, they all talk about it like they could be football managers and football coaches. And I get it. I fully understand it, because I'm a movie guy and I rant and complain about movies in my own spare time and things that I don't think are good about movies. So it's the same thing, it's just got a different skin on it. That's all it is. Same thing, different shape. As I often say when people complain about having chips, wedgies or waffles, it's the same thing, it's a different shape. But overly aggressive football fans are fantastic to view, especially when you catch them in public by themselves. Like, as a group of fans, or when you're in a group, you feel the passion, you get excited because you're with people. But when you've just got that person that's on his own, it's a sight to behold. A real sight to behold. There's two in my lifetime that I recall that stick out more than any of them. One of them was when I was maybe 17, 18 years old, still living in Birmingham. I was drinking in the Harborne area, and I believe it was a weekend. Birmingham City and Villa were playing each other, and I went to this pub in Harborne to watch the game, and like, everyone's having a good old drink, as you do when you're watching the football. And I remember one guy in the crowd seemed to single me out while I was at the bar. And back then, 17, 18 years old, I still had long hair. Like, I found, like, if you're in England, people don't really like it if you're a bloke with long hair. They find it uncomfortable to look at or see. Like, they can't quite get their head around it. But I'm there, I'm in my Birmingham City football shirt, my jeans, I got my long hair. But I remember this one guy in the bar. Birmingham City started winning. Like, we went ahead of Aston Villa. And I remember there was this one guy, he must have been at least in his 40s, like, bald head, bit of a beard, just angry, disgruntled face in a Villa shirt. And I remember he just looked at me from across the bar. We made eye contact. And he was just like, fuck you! Duh! Fuck you! You cunt! Fuck you! Now, I apologise for my language there, but it just... The only thing I could think was, why am I doing this with my weekends? Like, why am I surrounding myself with these kinds of people? Because there's no girls here. There's no girls and there's no rock and roll. But this guy was angry at me. Like, it was me who just ran onto the pitch at St Andrews and kicked that ball into the goal and put his team a goal down. Like, I was personally responsible for his upset. And I could see it in his face. Like, this guy was going red in the face. He was raging. And it amused me. And that's always stuck with me, like, for all these years. Just the look on that one guy's face. Nothing came of it. He never came over to me and got in my face or wanted to start any shit. It was just this one angry guy who saw the first Blues fan that he didn't like the look of. And in this case, it was a 17-year-old kid with long, greasy hair. It just amused me, because he was considerably older than me. The next one's in Leicester. This was a while ago. This is a very nice bar down in the area of Freeman's Common. Freeman's Common spelt like it sounds, by the way. And said like it is spelt. That's refreshing, isn't it? But it's a lovely little bar. They do wonderful food. So one Saturday, gone down there, gone to go to the cinema. So we decided to stop in, have some nice food. And as we went to this pub, there was a match playing that day, and I believe it was Manchester United, possibly against Liverpool. It wasn't Leicester that was playing. It wasn't a local team that was playing. But I'm sat there. I've got a big table. There's a big screen TV behind me. I'm not paying no mind to the TV because I'm not interested in football in any which way or form. When I was interested in football, I was interested in watching my team and England because that was football for me. I wasn't like every other football fan who needs to consume football every 24 hours or they lose their testosterone. I don't know what's that about. I remember growing up as a kid, like I was always raised like you have your local team and your international team and you wear their shirt. But as I got older, it became a case of you can wear anyone's shirt, you can really sort of like and support anyone. It was just like it became a bigger business. I never fully got behind it. Like I don't want to watch Juventus, I don't want to watch Inter Milan, don't want to watch Man United when I'm a fan of Birmingham City. They just kind of makes you sad if you're a Birmingham City fan, to be entirely honest. But those days are long in the past. But anyway, I'm sat there in this pub in Leicester. I got a giant chicken platter, like a platter for like 4 people to myself, and it's just chicken. It's the dream, folks. It was the absolute dream. Like I remember that meal as well. Like good food. You remember good food? Like when a meal's like that good, it sticks with you. I'm particularly thinking the steak hot pot in Portugal in the year 2000. 21 years ago, and I still remember the deliciousness of a specific hot pot. It was delightful. Truly delightful. So I have dreams about that hot pot. But anyway, we're off the hot pot. It's one chap. We're sat in this bar, big screen TV behind me, platter of chicken. I'm in my element. I got beer. There's a woman, beautiful. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. And the bar starts filling up because the game's starting. And people are coming in. And there's a woman with 2 little children. I'd say they were probably about 10, maybe younger, probably younger. But she's come in. She sat down at a table just behind us. And it's like a bench chair. So there's like a nice long bench. Then there's a table. So she's sat in there, she put like a daughter in on one side, she sat next to her, and then her son's coming on the other side, and then they've ordered food, and they're all sitting there, like the mum's got herself a nice drink, the kid's got some pop, and then they got some food, and they're all loving the food, but the game's about to start, so then comes in like this one older bloke who, I'd shoot for the moon and say, easily 60 plus, old, withered, tired, big baggy coat, doesn't look too happy, looks like a pint of either Guinness or a pint of mild goes down on the table, and he proceeds to watch the football that's in front of him, and he doesn't really pay any mind to the 2 tiny children and their mother that are eating their dinner next to them. Why would he? He's here to watch the football, he's not bothering them, they're not bothering him, it's all good. But it got about 10 minutes into this particular match, and something wasn't going his way, and he was very angry indeed, to the point where this guy's giving all the F's and blinds, the fucks, the shits, the bastards, the cunts. He's throwing it out there religiously, liberally. He is taking no prisoners. He is telling that television and that presenter on Sky Sports and the team over in Manchester exactly how he feels. They can't hear him because he's screaming at a TV. And I remember looking back just like, good God, I'm looking at this woman, like her kids aren't really paying that much attention, like they're having the time of their lives with their food and their little fruit shoots, but you can see the look on the mum's face is just like, do I say something? If I say something, will something bad happen? Like, this guy was angry. Like, he was, like, angry. Like, the fact that this was happening in this game to possibly his team. I assume it was his team. It was Leicester. It might not have been his team. He might have just been very passionate about a certain team. But he was angry. Like, rage in a way that I have not seen ever. Like, the language that come out of this guy was hilarious. And this mum just looked dumbstruck. Like she did not know what to do. She didn't want to stop her children from eating. Because, like, her children are eating. Why should she stop her children from eating and move? And she never actually complained to the bar staff. I complained to the bar staff because I kind of felt bad for her. Like, I'm sure the lad was taking in all these egregious swear words and just like, I'm going to save this for school on Monday. He was loving it. The little girl didn't seem too phased, or was at least like blocking out that kind of abuse that was coming from her right side. But yeah, the older generation of angry football fans, you're brilliant. Never change because you're always good for a laugh. You really are. Now, names. We're winding this one down. I'm getting to the end of this. Oh yeah, the mystery Narn. This is a weird one. So, I'm walking back from work the other day. I walk back of an evening. It's been cold. I don't ride the bike, and the bus is a nightmare to try and catch. So I'm walking back. It's nearly an hour's walk. It's snowy. It's icy. It's horrible. So anyway, I'm walking down the road. Long stretch of road. And as I'm walking up, there's two folks coming towards me. Like two... As I got closer to them, they were like two baggy, crackhead-looking people. Like, hoods up. They don't know how to spell raise. They look a mess. Like, these people look a mess. You can see there's like a carrier bag and there's just like 4 cans of something in that bag. And as I'm walking up to them, I notice like one of them's stopped and he's looking at something on the floor, giving it a little kick, giving it a little poke. And his mate stops and turns around, and that's all I can see. Sees what he's looking at. What's he looking at? Well, there's something on the floor and it's caught their interest. Now, they don't pick it up. They don't do anything about it. They just walk away. Well, technically, they look up, saw me, and then they walk away. So I walk past them, and I walk past the thing that they were investigating on the floor. It's a pack of naan bread. Naan breads, 4 naan breads, wrapped up on the floor. I don't know how long they've been there. Who knows? Who knows how they got there? Who knows where they came from? Who knows? But, you know, it intrigued them enough to at least stop and investigate this, and then abandon it. So I've walked past, I've spotted its naan bread, I've carried on walking, and I've just had this desire to sort of stop. There was a bus stop right there, so I've just sort of moved over to the bus stop. I know there's no bus coming, because it takes a goddamn hour for the bus to show up, so I'm stood there. Let's keep me on it for a second, just perchance. I had a feeling, a strange feeling. Sure enough, the 2 hooded individuals with their 4 can of beers came back around that corner and re-investigated the naan bread. They gave the naan bread a poke. They flipped the bag over. And they just looked at it on the floor. They nodded something to each other. And then they picked up the naan bread, put it in their bag and fucked off. How broken are you as a human being to come back for dropped naan bread? Like, you've got to question the thinking and the lifestyle of these people. Like, you can clearly afford 4 cans of lager. I buy cheap lager at the minute. I can get 4 cans for £3.70 at my local shop. A pack of naan breads, 4 pack of naan breads, about £1.50 at most. But these people decided to come back and pick up the dropped naan bread. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in their household. If they do, in fact, have a household. I assume they have a household, because how else are you going to cook your naan breads if you don't have a household? And implements to cook said naan bread, or at least warm naan bread, because I don't know if you've tried to eat cold naan bread before you've heated it. It's not nice. I've done that once. Don't know why. It was bad though. It was bad. I don't recommend it. Now then, I still do have a couple of things that I was going to drop in on this video. I'm going to elect to leave them out because they have a few names in, and I'm not sure if I should be touching on real people's names that aren't anything to do with this channel or people that I know. So I'm going to avoid them for now, at the very least. And this video's gone on a little bit longer than last week's video was, so I think it's going to time. I'm going to wind it down. I hope it's been entertaining for everyone that's tuned in. I hope everyone's had a good time. I'm going to try and edit, but I ain't very good at editing, so it probably won't be edited. At best, you might hear that Catherine. It's Catherine. It's Catherine. It's like the Mrs. Bouquet thing, like old British comedy show Keeping Up Appearances, and there's a character, her surname's Bucket, and she's of a upper middle class section of the community, and she believes she's more important. She has a sister named Daisy with a room for 3 ponies and a boyfriend with a Mercedes. But every time someone says to her, like, "Are you Mrs. Bucket?" It's not Bucket, darling, it's bouquet. Bouquet, dear. I mean, sure, you can twist the spelling. Her name was Bucket. She pronounced it bouquet. It's the Leicester situation with Catherine and Catherine. It's Catherine. It's Belvoir. It's Beauchamp. It's Grubby. Oh, God. This is what life has come to. Still not smoking, and I'm still complaining about things. Anyway, thank you for those who have watched. Do like, do share, do subscribe. Do have a lovely evening. And here's to you. Let's end this video. If I click stop, it usually works. Ciao for now.
Catherine Street.